everybody. Welcome to the Fearless Show. This is your host, Sue Fearless, and I'm super excited to be here today with my very special guest, DWI Muzik, founder of the Matrix Studios Network. It's so great to have you here. It's such a pleasure. I've been a part of the Matrix Studios for about 4 years now, and it definitely has been a platform that has helped me grow so much as a person. So I'm truly grateful for this, and I'm happy to be interviewing you today.
Well, listen, I'm on the other side of the table now. I'm proud. I've seen you from day one, from the first day you walked in there, not knowing which way was up when it came to media and talking behind the mic. And from what I believe, you was a little bit of a introvert.
Yes.
So you wasn't really used to talking to people outside of your normal comfort zone, and you beat that monster.
I
That was
did,
on your
I
bucket
did.
list of things to do.
Yes,
So, yeah, thanks for having me.
absolutely.
I'm here.
Of course. No, and thanks for having your platform. I think that a lot of people can take advantage of that in that way and grow as a person, be able to communicate more effectively. So thank you for that.
Right.
And you've been around 20 years now. That's like really, really amazing.
2020
Yes.
starts a whole nother decade of fun.
I know, and a whole other bunch of amazing things that you're doing, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
But tell us about your 20 years with DSN and what DSN represents for you and for our culture, especially in the Bronx.
Okay, well, DSN stands for the Matrix Studios Network. It was launched in 1999, actually, so we already had 20 years, but we're going to start at 2020. And it started from the living room of my apartment in the Bronx. I was a recording engineer and a music producer first, just recording music. And I got, somebody reached out to me via the internet. His name is Jesse Jess, to see if I can produce a radio show for him. And I had never done radio at that time, but I was recording audio for at least 2 years prior to that, and I was confident enough to do it. And from doing that show, it became one of the most popular underground radio shows. It was called Promo Radio. For years, it's become one. It's been one of the most popular radio shows, and I had a chance to meet a lot of celebrities that's on TV and that's out right now. That's was popular back then, and 20 years later, they're still doing it. Remy Ma, Graf from Love and Hip Hop, and to name a few.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. You've had a lot of great guests stop by, and a lot of it contributed to their platform and growing their platform as well,
Right.
because it's kind of like the stepping stone, right? Which is
Exactly.
great. So let's talk a little bit about you starting off in the radio and now how we've transitioned into like podcasting and things like that. How do you feel about the advancement of technology right now?
I love it. I'm a gadget guy, so I've been on top of things since beepers was out. I'll never forget, I had a beeper that was able to have a speaker on it, so you didn't even have to call people back. You can just hear the message, and you can choose to call them back or not. And then then it went from that to Star Tech. It went from the Blackberries, and the Blackberries are important because that was a business tool that a lot of us had to keep in contact, and it wasn't really internet savvy. AOL and all that was out, but it really wasn't anything visual out. And then I was using this program with this website called Stickam, which was a website for webcam host, and what it would you would host your own webcam stream. And I was already doing radio before that, so you host your own website stream, and then on the cameras on the side, the right side, 6 cameras would be you, and 5 other people would pop in from home and be watching all day. And I had celebrities coming into the studio at that time, so they stayed locked in every day, like, oh, what's this coming in from New York City? And so technology then, Soulja Boy was on it, Be Real from Cypress Hill. A lot of celebrities were on it at that time, and not a lot of people was on it. Like in New York City, Hot 97 was the only urban radio station for hip hop and rap. And when they came up as guests, some of their CEOs and program directors, Ebro came up. They didn't know what we were doing up there with the cameras and all that. They was like, what's this? Like, so it was blowing their minds at that time. So I'm sure when Ebro went back, and Sergeant Hawkins from Sirius Radio, he came up, and even KRS-One, they was looking at the screen like, what's going on here? Because I had a lot of cameras and things going on, and it wasn't your regular radio show.
So
tech-
basically, yeah, so basically you were kind of ahead of the curve. You were always
Yeah.
thinking in advance. So when we transitioned to podcasting, did it affect your network at all? Did it affect how business was moving? How did it affect you?
Well, for me, podcasting, what I see, the name of podcasting is just recorded audio that you can listen to when you want to listen to it. That's pretty much what it is. So when I was doing radio, I was doing pre-recorded radio where I would put it together, hand by hand, track by track, in Pro Tools, and then send it out to the radio station or send it out to XM radio. So it already was in the form of a podcast back then. So I was doing it for so long that when I started seeing the buzz come out now and they calling it podcast, I'm like, wait a minute, that's what I've been doing all of this time. But I just wasn't calling it podcast. But from what I heard, the name podcast came out years ago. I wasn't even paying attention to it. I was just creating radio shows.
Right,
So,
and that's so true.
Yeah, so to answer your question, there was a part of that Stickam app that came out that when I was just doing the audio, that was fine, but they did like a beta where you can actually watch it you can watch the video on your BlackBerry, and that was the first time I ever seen that. So when that happened, I said, man, about 10 years when they had the technology on phones, because this wasn't when you can watch and talk to people on your phone. You can only do it on AOL. So when I seen that happen, I was like, yeah, pretty soon it's gonna catch up, and it did, just as I thought it would.
And also, you always had visual with your radio shows, right?
I coined a phrase called radio vision. Back then, I was saying it because it was radio with vision,
right?
And not everybody was doing it. So that that was definitely something that I helped create a buzz. But I don't know if obviously I wasn't the first person to do it, but to make it popular in New York City, in the urban markets, I definitely can hold my hand up and say that was me.
Right. Yeah, because you were touching two markets per se, right? So you were touching like TV visual, and then you were touching radio too, which was really great, and that's what kind of set you apart. And like you were mentioning, people could watch us like on the website live and things like that, or on your phone, on the apps and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like you transitioned very well, and that's what attributes to a lot of your success.
I embedded that same video that the people were watching from that website. I just took their embed code and made it on my website. So the chat room and all that already had a buzz. So it was like just fusing it all together, and people would just come into the website for years and years.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been in the Bronx
Right.
for a very long time,
Yeah,
the whole 20 years,
the whole
actually.
20 years.
Yeah, so, again, thank you for your contribution to the Bronx. We really appreciate that. But I
Always,
know
always.
now for 2020, we are moving down into Manhattan. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we've acquired some space in 1501. That's the Paramount building right down in Times Square where all the action is. And just by doing some research, found a nice space that worked out. Got some of my partners involved, and we took the biggest of the office spaces that they had and turned it into a podcast studio. We're just calling it podcast. You can do the visual and everything, but if everybody's doing podcasts, that's what we're going to do right now, because we know we can do everything else as well.
Right. Okay, so you won't be recording visual, or will you still be recording visual?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just be calling it podcast because that's what everybody else does.
So how do you feel about the transition? Is it bittersweet because you leave in the Bronx now?
I am the Bronx. So anywhere where I go, it's going to be with me. So I'm gonna bring the Bronx to Midtown Manhattan now. So when I'm walking in the building with some of those other businesses, they're gonna feel like they're in the Bronx.
Okay.
They're gonna get a chance to see what our culture is like from up top down there. But it's gonna be great because it's gonna fuse. In the building I'm in, there's probably over 100 businesses in every door. So that's great for media. We can tap into those markets, get some ad spaces running for them, and just mix and mingle with some of their clients because they have people visiting too.
Right.
So when they know that DSN is in the building, they can pop in and drop us a line.
And it'll be easily accessible now, and you can kind of join in like a lot of the other boroughs.
I never thought about it like that until now, being down there, walking across the street, and now it's like, it's funny how you be down like, all these people, when you go to Times Square, now that's where you're making money. So like, all these people.
Right, now it's
like,
exciting.
I need all these people. I need to give out flyers with Elmo in them in the square.
Yeah, it'll be great for networking. Yeah, definitely to increase the notoriety of what you're doing.
International definitely is going to pick up because that's all that's in there. So all we have to do is go out with our mics and our flags and talk to them random. Everybody likes a mic when it comes outside.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Well, congratulations on that.
You.
Yes.
And thank you for being a part of the 4-year ride because you know what it's been and where we're going. So it's important to people that been along the ride to understand what this means for not just me as a Bronx urban black youth coming, being able to run a business for 20 years straight, and then now bring it into where corporate America is down,
Right.
the biggest venue of corporate America, and really show out. And I think we have some great programs. Fearless Show is one of them, and we're gonna do a great thing for that network.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited. I can't wait to check it out. And we definitely support DSN through it all. So tell us a little bit. Besides moving now to the big Midtown, what are your goals? Your other goals for 2020?
All right,
with
so
DSN?
my immediate goal is to start a pop-up podcast service and audio service where people would go on the app and they would, just like Uber or Grubhub, you want something, you go on the app, you pick it, you get it. I want to be that, a podcast. You say you in your house or you're in Queens and you got some girls together and y'all want to do a podcast, I got this idea. Oh, go on the app, hit me up, schedule it, and I'll come up and do the
Okay.
podcast for you.
That's exciting, yeah, because that's also kind of like you mentioned going out into the street and doing the live interviews
Yeah,
outside
live.
and things like that. Okay, that'll be awesome. Well, tell everyone where they can follow you, where they can, how they can get in touch with you.
All right, well, you can get me at DWI Muzik, and that's Damian Williams Influence, or the I is whatever you want to, call it. Just don't call me incomplete because I'm always complete. And the Matrix Studios, that's DA Matrix Studio without an S, because somebody took our page years ago, and so everything had to go to just studio.
Okay.
And yeah, you can find me anywhere on the internet. You just hashtag DSNBX, and you'll find us.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for being with me here
Thank you.
today.
It's a great
Yes,
interview, great
yes.
vibe. Love the studio.
Thank you. Yes, definitely a great space. So this was the Fearless Show. I'm your host, Sue Fearless, on BronxNet TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely follow the Matrix Studios, and thank you.